My name is Katherine Morris, and I am a 61-year-old former registered teacher turned minister in Greenville, South Carolina. What I'm about to share with you is my near-death experience's testimony of what happened when Jesus showed me the shocking truth about fasting. I literally really saw and experienced something that completely changed my understanding of fasting, prayer, and the spiritual realm. But before we start, please let me know where you're listening from. It will be nice to feel closer, even if we're physically apart. Also, don't forget to like and comment on what you thought about this near-death experience testimony. Let's have a fair and open discussion so we can learn from each other on this channel. Enjoy listening. It happened on September 12th, 2023. I was on my 7th day of a water-only fast, something I had felt strongly led by the Holy Spirit to undertake. A drunk driver in a pickup truck ran through a red light at high speed, striking my car directly on the driver's side. The impact was devastating. But what happened during those 17 minutes was more real than anything I've experienced in my 45 years of life. But then something extraordinary happened. Everything around me began to fade, and I found myself being drawn upward through what I can only describe as a tunnel of pure living light. As I moved through this tunnel, I became aware that I was no longer in my physical body, yet I felt more real and alive than I ever had before. From this vantage point, I could see golden threads of light extending from earth up into heaven. These weren't just random strands. They were spiritual pathways created by people who were fasting and praying. Then I heard his voice, Jesus. I knew instantly it was him, though he hadn't yet appeared to me. The first thing Jesus showed me was how fasting affects the spiritual atmosphere. I saw how when someone enters into a genuine fast, it creates what looked like a tear or opening in what appeared to be a dark, heavy spiritual blanket covering the earth. He then showed me my own fast that I had been in the midst of when the accident occurred. Jesus then took me to what he called the halls of time, where I saw countless believers throughout history who had undertaken serious fasts. I saw how corporate fasting, when groups of believers fast together, creates what looked like spiritual storms of power. These combined fasts generated spiritual momentum that could shift entire atmospheres over cities and nations. I saw believers who were fasting, and they appeared to be clothed in additional spiritual armor. I saw how each day of sincere fasting increased a believer's spiritual authority in prayer and warfare. It was like watching someone receive progressive promotions in rank in heaven's army. When someone fasts and prays with faith and pure motives, these chains begin to weaken and break.
Fasting creates space in your soul for more of my presence. It's not just about spiritual power, it's about knowing me more deeply.
It's like fasting fine-tunes our spiritual antenna, allowing us to pick up heaven's frequency more clearly. I saw how people who fasted regularly developed increased sensitivity to the Holy Spirit's leading.
Remember, the power isn't in the fasting itself, the power is in me. Fasting positions you to partner with what I'm already wanting to do.
The next thing I knew, I was back in my body in the hospital, surrounded by shocked medical staff. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. It happened 3 months after my initial NDE, during a time of extended fasting and prayer. This time, I wasn't in an accident. Instead, I experienced what the doctors would later call an unexplained cardiac event while praying in my bedroom.
Nicole, I've brought you back to show you the fruit of what you've learned.
Suddenly, I was shown a panoramic view of the spiritual impact that had occurred since I began sharing my testimony about fasting. I witnessed addictions breaking, healing manifesting, and relationships being restored, all through the combined power of prayer and biblical fasting. These ripples were creating what looked like waves of revival, preparing the way for something greater.
Tell them that I'm calling my church back to biblical fasting, not as a religious duty, but as preparation for the greatest outpouring of my spirit they've ever seen.
This second experience left me with an even deeper conviction. Jesus is calling his church to rediscover the power of biblical fasting. Jesus is inviting you into a deeper understanding of fasting, not as a religious obligation, but as an opportunity for profound partnership with heaven.